What has caused the recent uptick in anti-vax attitudes?
A lot of it comes down to the fundamental understanding, or in this case, misunderstanding of how science in medicine works. People expect Star Trek-level medicine where the doctor whips up a cure for a disease in 24 hours and cures thousands or millions with no side effects and perfect results. Instead, what we got was watching the live process of watching science and learning unfold and all of the sloppiness that comes with it, because it is time that exposes the problems, and people have a hard time accepting that an answer from science isn't immediately definitive. It is only made worse by public figures who aren't always scientists or doctors making statements about things they neither understand or have any authority on the matter for, other than acting like a talking head. Then you get opinions, lots of opinions, and people latch onto the one that conforms to their own already brewing confirmation bias.
We haven't had serious outbreaks of things like measles or polio. Lots of people nowadays may not ever register the severity of those things.
Vaccinated and boosted. Both myself and my wife. The reason why there is so much doubt about these vaccines is because of terrible messaging, only a one-size-fits-all solution, politicians using this to divide the population, and a pharmaceutical company that has been proven to be scummy well before this situation. The fact that we've been directly lied to and no course correction was ever made doesn't help either.
I don't know what circles you run in, but I haven't heard any broad-brushed anti-vax attitudes lately. From anyone I know, I've more so heard a lot of pro-vax people just expressing that they are willing to pass at this point on any follow-up COVID boosters for the following reasons. 1. Previous COVID vax made them feel worse than any other vax they've ever had. 2. They caught COVID even while vaxxed. 3. Even if unvaxxed, unboosted, catching COVID resulted in only a mild illness. 4. Many folks have heard at this point about some of the cozy relationships between politicians and pharmaceutical companies, and some of the problems with testing the new vaccines.
This is the end result of an education crisis that's been brewing for 20 years, along with the clash of social media.
When an intervention successfully prevents a negative outcome, it can lead to some people underestimating the potential dangers of the associated risk, especially if they are not well informed about the risks and benefits of the intervention. This phenomenon is sometimes referred to as risk compensation, or the Peltzman effect. An example is the use of helmets in sports like football and hockey. Although helmets can reduce the risk of head injuries, they may also give players a false sense of security and encourage them to engage in more aggressive or dangerous play.
People were told that the COVID vax were one and done. Do your part and we will ride it out. We are now on to the third booster jab and COVID is no longer on the news. People don't deem it as necessary anymore. In my experience, it's been less straight up anti-vax but more like can't be bothered vax.
There is no evidence to support a link between vaccination and the development of comorbidities. In fact, several studies have shown that vaccination can help prevent the development of comorbidities by reducing the risk of severe illness and hospitalization from infectious diseases. For example, a study published in The Lancet in 2021 found that the risk of hospitalization due to COVID-19 was significantly lower among fully vaccinated individuals compared to unvaccinated individuals, regardless of their comorbidities. Another study published in the Journal of Infectious Diseases in 2019 found that influenza vaccination was associated with a lower risk of cardiovascular events in people with and without cardiovascular disease. Bad faith actors looking to generate power and fame by building a cult. My dad had a massive stroke 24 hours after receiving the shot. That embittered me toward it a bit. I think that they've also changed the definition of anti-vax, and that's why there seems to be an uptick. Just because someone doesn't want one particular vaccine doesn't make them anti-vax. We usually get our flu shots every year, except my kids have been sick every couple of weeks since school started back up, so my 2-yo was the only one to get it this year. Colds, RSV, flu, stomach bug, etc. I had surgery and couldn't take them too. It's never ending this season. She just happened to be healthy at one of her checkups and could get it. Then we had the flu in January. So there's no point getting it now. They say the best time to get the flu shot is September or October, so it lasts the whole season. But I'm going to schedule them for the last week of August this year just to avoid what happened this flu season. Also, vaccine injuries are very real. With social media, it's easier to hear about all the stories, which probably scares a lot of people. You can become kind of psychotic when you have a child. My cousin's first kid had some breathing issues when she was a baby. She wouldn't let anyone hold her. She became a huge germaphobe because she was so scared of her baby getting sick again. I remember her yelling at her kids when they were in elementary school not to touch their faces until they sanitized or washed their hands. Her mill bought her oldest an exerciser when she was a baby and was so excited to see the baby in it. I already sanitized and washed the whole thing, so it's ready to use, and my cousin said, "It's okay. I'll do it myself later, then she can use it." She wouldn't let other children play with her kids' toys, or she would have a handful set aside for others to use while having an entire playroom of stuff no one could touch so they didn't get their germs on it. It was a sunroom, so the kids could see all the stuff they weren't allowed to play with, or they used a baby fence to separate the guests and her child so they couldn't share toys or touch each other. Now that her oldest is in college, she's eased up slightly, but we go to an amusement park and she wipes her toddler's shoes off with baby wipes before putting him in the stroller. Before COVID. After COVID hit, she used Lysol wipes to clean his hands after playing in the sand with my son. They're not supposed to be used on skin. The same thing that let Wells dupe millions into thinking there was an alien invasion. The anxiety and paranoia of pre-World War II society. Except now it's a pandemic. Inflation and pending climate collapse in a pre-WW3 society. Anti-vax is just one of hundreds of conspiracies that have taken a foothold in today's society. I think the main uptick is the reported massive increase in deaths amongst young and seemingly healthy people that occurred the same time COVID and vaccines started coming out. And the only response from the scientific community has been, it's not the vaccines, while offering zero alternatives. Stupid people with access to the world. I took the vaccines myself. 2 doses. But it became evident to me that we were lied to initially. Which kinda put me off of them. The rhetoric was, it will make you immune. And once you're done, you can no longer infect anyone and life will continue normally. Yeah, that didn't happen. And yeah, while I understand that they really wanted people to go and take it, so they lied to amplify their message. But I don't quite like that. And so far I haven't seen any need to go for a 3rd vaccine. Actually, I may have had corona 2 or even 3 times. 12 times after taking the vaccine. 1 time before. So I'm probably quite boosted as is. Anyway, to answer your question, once you lie enough about stuff, people kinda stop taking the stuff seriously. Even if it might not be that simple. Like back in school they told us that 1 cannabis injection can kill you. And obviously that's a lie, so probably everything else they say is also a lie. Kind of the same thing here. Anti-intellectualism and a distrust in authority. People like Robert Kennedy Jr. invested a fortune into creating doubt towards COVID vaccines wherever he could. There was a group of these wealthy people who were putting all their resources into convincing people to not get vaccinated. They targeted right-wing media and canvassed people like it was a political campaign. They helped raise anti-vaccine choices' popularity and engagements. They would convince people by pushing arguments like, they told you it was a miracle cure but now you need 12 shots, while ignoring that at the time it was well known we could require boosters. Their ability to manipulate events to people who are receptive to those manipulations helped to grow a movement that rejected any effort to stop the pandemic. https://changingAmerica/wellbeing/preventioncures/544712212 Anti-vaxxers are irresponsible for because people are lumping in not wanting to get your bi-monthly COVID booster with being anti-polio or MMR vaccine. The anti-vax movement getting seen more online due to the way social media algorithms work. Also, the COVID vaccines being a new kind of technology than has previously been used. Reduced education funding for multiple decades.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.